So it is now 6 p.m. Let's call this meeting to order. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready? Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Curtis Franco. Here. Darlene Boyd.
Here.
Scott Friel is absent.
He's excused.
David Medeiros, both excused. And Shirley Brewer.
Here.
Thank you. There are 4.
I move that the two be credited with an excused absence that they notified us of their
Yes.
pending.
Yes. I second that then, if we need to second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The ayes have it. Okay, public comment. Is there anybody that would like to give any public comment? Do you have any cards?
Yes, I have Jolene Kozia.
Good afternoon, or evening almost. I noticed that the property on Lawson, going up to our reservoir, just off of Washington on Lawson, and then you go up to the reservoir, has finally sold. It had been for sale for a long time. And there were several people interested some time ago. We've had people come through and say, oh, they want to buy it. Would the planning commission allow a house up there on the lower part of the property? And the planning commission was always amenable to it, and so was I. I felt that one house on the lower portion was probably a fine use of that 4-acre parcel. But now I see the person who's purchased it has marked out for 2 houses, one on the very upper portion of the property, and he's already done some grading and put in a sort of a rock road, I guess you'd call it. It's not a true road. It's apparently allowed. I talked to the code enforcement, and they said that rock road is allowed, and also the huge storage container that he put up there is allowed. You can't live on the property, but you can store things on it. But what I wanted to remind the planning commission of, because eventually I imagine he will come in and try to get permission either for a lot split to start with and then possibly to build homes up there, is the hillside ordinance that was passed, ordinance 2016-01, amending the San Juan Bautista Municipal Code to add chapter 1108, adopted January 19th, 2016 by the City Council. And I just wanted to make sure that you would familiarize yourself with this ordinance prior to any building going on or approval of such. I just printed out a copy offline and wanted to bring it in. And I think you were on the planning commission when they passed that ordinance, but you're probably the only one. So you want to jot down anything about it? That's the parcel that's sold, and that's the copy of the ordinance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Oh, 2?
We don't have any more cards? Okay. So you have a public comment?
What about, are they using informal project review? Yeah.
Informal project review, folks?
Well,
From the brewery, okay.
Okay.
Let's see. We could probably, any more public comment then?
just a minute, if there's no more public comments, we'll move on to informal project reviews then. Anybody here for an informal project review? Yeah. Please identify yourself for the record.
Okay, I'm Viridiana Seda, this is my dad, Polito Seda, and we're here for the brewery which is on 104 the Alameda.
That red building that's...
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
finished, yeah. So basically, we're here because my dad would like to get his permits reinstated, or he would like to continue the project or finish it.
Okay. And are there any questions that you need answered or anything that you're
Well, we were
concerned
told
about?
that we would have to start from scratch. Basically, he had his building permits revoked because he was going through a divorce and he had to put everything on hold. And we want to know how to go about getting his permits reinstated to finish it.
Well, the best advice I can give you is talk to Todd.
Yeah. Okay, so,
You know, that's where you start,
okay.
okay?
Yeah, but the thing is, say that we have to do everything again, and we spend a lot of money. I don't have the money to pay the architect to do the plans. I would like to do just finish the way it is, the way it was approved.
Okay.
What happens in a case like this, if over a period of time, if you, for lack of any work,
Is your thing on?
Yes, it's there.
Okay.
for lack of work, permits expire. And sometimes, over the period of time you're waiting, laws change.
Yes.
And so if this were brought back to reinstatement, my understanding would have to be whatever codes are there. And if these plans are one architect and somebody else wants to finish it, that's intellectual property, there's going to be issues on that. So the best bet is to go to Todd and do whatever's required under the law and under city ordinances to proceed. I don't know the status of your plans, but if the
It was
laws...
the same plans with
But if the laws have changed, if a new code comes in, you'd have to change the plans to...
But 90% of it was already pretty much finished. We just need
That's
to-
okay, but bottom line is, to get a final inspection, you're gonna have to meet the codes.
Okay.
Building codes and the electrical code, the fire, all these codes.
That is correct.
So you'd have to, but our recommendation is to deal with staff and whatever they say goes. And when he's ready to put you back on the agenda, it'll be because you're ready to go.
So we have to change some, if we can use the same...
I don't know, you'd have to work with...
They're gonna know.
Plan checkers.
That we pay the staff to know this.
Well, I hope it.
Okay?
Just, like I said, we were, Todd Kennedy, city staff here. Yeah, we've been in touch, we've been in contact, and, just a quick thing, the case itself would have to be reinstated, and that was actually revoked by city council. And after doing a quick review, or I should say a review with our building and planning staff, it was based on 2010 building codes by the ABC, and that's like old predates, so we need something for 2016 building codes. And, so that's step number one, and then basically kind of begin the process over on the site design review, and then, turn it into me with all applicable information and fees and so forth and material, and then we work the process forward.
Well, somos no scopes, what's the new scopes?
Based on,
And so there's no mistake, I think everybody on this council and planning commission wants to see that building finished.
Yeah, he
Yes.
wants to finish, he wants to continue it, yeah.
We can only do it under the current law, but bottom line is, you got support of the commission to have it.
Okay.
We're not trying to kill the project, we want to see it finished.
We want to see it done, yes, but...
I want to see a restaurant or something go in there.
Yeah. We would like to too, it's to everybody's benefit, I think.
Yes, so we agree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about the problem you had, but again, our hands are tied, the law is very clear.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
thank you.
And good luck to you.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Okay. Any other informal project reviews?
Thank you.
Okay, so long, thank you. Any other informal project reviews? Okay, let's move on to the action items. We have approved affidavit of posting and approved minutes for July 10th, 2018 meeting. Is everything copacetic
You can do it
as a group?
consent or individually.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve.
The items on the, action items on the number 4 be approved.
I still, if I have to make get a kind of another architect, it's going to cost me way too much money, and I think better off take, just lose the money and put the place for sale. Let's continue as the way it is, we can make some changes the way you want.
We'll work with staff as to what, we don't know if it's what's needed, but they'll be able to tell you. At this point, we don't know.
Okay.
So it's work with staff.
Okay, thank you.
It's not so much the architectural plans as it is the codes that changed, and somebody will have to look at it that knows the codes.
Oh.
Thanks for trying.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve the action items for under item 4. I second. Okay, all those that approve the items say aye. 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 Any nays? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, our discussion items. We're going to discuss and review the proposed amendments to the San Juan Bautista Historic Downtown Guidelines, and the staff has met with the members of the San Juan Bautista Historic Society and Planning Commission members. These changes were reviewed with previous staff. The changes will need to be revised again for comprehensive reviews, so all current staff and appointed officials are in agreement to the changes, okay? So are there any items that you want to bring forward? Do we have for discussion? Do you want to go ahead, Todd?
Let's see, I'll go ahead and begin the
Yes, thank you.
process. Yes, Madam Chair, members of the commission, yeah, this item is being presented, and we figured it'd be a good idea to kind of start from the beginning, work our way forward, because of my time here at the city, and then also this was a past item that kind of made it to a certain point, but then kind of, fell off somehow during the process. I'm not real clear on the history behind it, but I wanted to include, as part of my due diligence, I do have a draft here of the downtown streetscape guidelines, and then also the minutes for both May 3rd and April 5th of 2016, showing that this item did make it through the HRB, but did not go on to Planning Commission. We figured it'd be a good idea to just dig up the information, and start off with our, with the design guidelines, and this is the draft that's been presented to staff so far, and kind of begin, just, I guess you could say, kind of roll our sleeves up a little bit, and kind of dissect it, and we're figuring out maybe a best direction to go on this item. So that's pretty much my conclusion tonight, just my briefing. So anyway, with that, I think Vanda, if you want to come up, and she could definitely explain further.
Okay, make sure you identify yourself for the camera.
Good evening, I'm Vanda Rivera. I'm with the San Juan Bautista Historical Society, and I'm a former Historic Resources Board Planning Commissioner. And I'm here tonight just to bring back this document that Ernest, we were together on this, and David Medeiros, and it was prompted by the fact that city managers were making unilateral decisions regarding the historic downtown without consulting with the Historic Resources Board. Things like the yellow tactile dots that are on the corners to help the blind and the disabled.
Okay.
They come in a variety of colors. Gray would have been far more appropriate for a historic downtown. The zebra stripes at the intersections, the location of speed signs, the location and types of garbage cans, other signage, future signage. This is our town. Unfortunately, city managers seem to come and go. Hopefully there'll be a little bit more stability, but we want to be sure that there are some guidelines in place that city manager can look at and say, okay, well, we need new something or others, but I have to go to the HRB before we can just do it. And we made it clear to him that anything that was urgent, of course, as a city manager, he would have the authority to do that, but so many of these items, like zebra stripes or garbage can placement, that's not urgent. That could easily come before the HRB, and that's just what we're proposing. or what we had proposed at that time. It did pass the Historic Resources Board. I'm not sure it was ever beyond the discussion stage, and the Planning Commission, Roger expressed his concerns, and after maybe another meeting, he said, it's fine, or something to that effect, because we recognized that he would have the authority to do emergency things. And it just never came back as an action item. I let it go, I dropped the ball, and he dropped the ball. So here we are, back again. We still feel a need for this, for these guidelines to be included within the design guidelines. And I guess that's all do you have any questions about how it came to be, or?
No, you've been very thorough about that. Thank you. I appreciate that history. It's good to have a record of that. Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments about this? Any other discussion?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
I think it's important because if we call ourselves city history
Yes.
and we let everything go, to waste or allow the architecture in the middle of our projects that doesn't match the existing historical background, we're destroying the concept of the city of history and the reason to come to this town. And I agree and that's what we were talking about, is that everything in here, by having, and control is the word. I mean, let's face it, the function of the Planning Commission is control, is to make sure that these policies, that this concept of city of history is protected, is maintained.
Right.
If we don't do it, it isn't going to get done this way. And if we don't have something written, the next round of city managers and staff won't know what the policies are. Oh yeah, you want a garbage can? Fine. Steel drum? That's fine. That's the cheapest way to go. No, that's not how we do it in San Juan. So if you don't have it written down, the next generation can't look back and say, hey, listen, they did this for these reasons. And if you notice, the preambles of all these things have to do with history. And so, to maintain our traditions and make people want to come in and share with us, we've got to take action ahead of time. I mean, the fact, like she said, the little stuff on the curbs for disabled, for sight impaired people, I've seen it in other cities. Great. It rests the pavement. It doesn't have to be international orange or international yellow. It just has to be...
Yeah, it just has to be according to...
Yeah, stick up so the feet can feel it.
Well, plus that you can actually do it in ceramic, and I've given Michelle LaForge some actual concrete samples from a construction company, and it's in gray and terracotta and a brown and something else, a tan, I think. So there's a lot more choices than the yellow plastic. And I agree with that. I don't find that very historically. And it's to protect our economic development. If we're looking at downtown, city of history, historical stuff.
I mean, we want businesses to come down here to be part of the city of history. And they're willing to invest, architect developers willing to invest in this town to maintain that core city, historical city that they can build around.
Right.
They said, this is our heritage.
That's right. That's right. This is our heritage.
So whatever it takes to make this happen, check it out, run up a planning commission and say, hey, this is now city policy. Recommended by this body.
That's right.
To the planning commission.
And so at this point, since it's only a discussion item, did you want to say something more?
I do have another speaker.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah.
When Georgiana and I were on the board, we were both members of the Historical Society, and we tried to use the Secretary of the Interior standards to guide us. And just this first paragraph, the California State Office of Historic Preservation defines streetscape as the visual character of a street as determined by elements such as structures, access, greenery, open space, view, and the like. The scene as may be observed along a public street or public alley, composed of natural and man-made components, including buildings, paving, planting, street hardware, and miscellaneous structures. So we tried to research state guidelines and not just pull things out of the air willy-nilly, but it's kind of standard practice with historic preservation.
I think you did your homework very well. Thank you.
Before we go, the book we call Design Guidelines. This will be part of it.
This will be part of the design.
So basically, we want to amend the design guidelines by adding this section to it.
Yes.
And I imagine it will not only be approved by planning, but then it will have to go to council.
That's right.
But it should be solid so the council can't say anything but, thanks, guys. Approved.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's how it should go up there. They should not be discussing stuff that should be done at our level.
Oh, I
They
agree.
should say, hey, this is great, approved.
And we did this in 2016.
Which wasn't that long ago, yeah.
August. So there, if anything has come up since then, you might want to add to it.
Yeah, okay. Trish, you said you had someone else?
Emily Renzel?
Renzel, 101 3rd Street, the Casa de Anza, and I'm very much in support of these guidelines. I think if you read the first 2 paragraphs introducing the guidelines, it emphasizes how important our public improvements to the streetscape are in maintaining the historic character of the town. So I think it's really important to do that. I would say I am on the Historical Resources Board, and I'm speaking only as an individual tonight, although I believe we took an action.
You mean the historical society?
Historical Society, sorry. And I think Van spoke for us, and that we did in fact take a position in favor of these. There's one element that isn't in there that I think ought to be in there, and that is that directions to our historic downtown and our parks ought to be on brown signs. Fairly recently, a couple of green signs were put up, green background with white print, but I think the standard for historic districts and parks is brown, and I'd like to see that be somehow included in the guidelines.
Okay, brown or the tan, kind of like they have?
No, it's the brown signs
Brown,
that you see directing you to parks and to historic districts. It's just kind of a plain old brown, but...
Brown background.
Not green, which is what we have at the corner of
Yeah.
First and Monterey, and out, they put one up on that island as you come in from the other end. Be easy enough to change those out and do the same message on brown background.
Okay.
So that it helps keep the flavor of this being a historic district and also a state park. So I hope you will end up fanfare for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get to dance out.
Anyway.
Okay.
I hope you will adopt these guidelines and recommend them to the council, because I do think it's terribly important to not have any further erosion of the historic character of the town. Thank you.
Emily, before you go, we have a section in here on page 3, line 105, called signage. Is that where you would want to put the color? It says to the extent
Wherever it's
possible,
appropriate.
to the extent possible, public street signage should be minimized or customized using natural resources. And we could...
Well, in these streetscape guidelines might be the place to just suggest that the color should be the standard park and historic district color, which is brown. Brown sign with white print.
Yeah.
So,
Directions.
but I'm not sure where in our code that would show
No,
up.
it's what we're doing to put it on the proposal.
Yeah. Anyway, it might not hurt to put it both places. So, thank you very much.
So you're talking about this right here? Yeah. Well, mine has a 111, signage is a 109.
Oh, you must have a...
This is the newer abridged. Maybe that's the old one you're looking at? We're looking at the computer.
That's the one I just got.
Okay. Well, you might try see if it's in your little tablet.
Okay, here we go.
You get to read it.
Do you have another speaker slide?
We do? Okay.
Georgiana?
Oh, Georgiana, please come up and identify yourself.
Thank you. Georgiana, 1 Street. Emily brought up the areas beyond the downtown as described in that ordinance, beyond McKellamey, beyond Franklin. I will urge you to continue the idea of this ordinance applying to the whole town.
This?
Look at it in the future.
In the whole commercial area of the town.
Or any of it, because things happen, Public Works goes into other areas of the town, does things that really are inappropriate to the buildings.
Can you give us an example?
Number one,
Okay, thank you.
the glass doors on the front of the library, that's A. And you can see, those didn't pass any approval of any organization other than just put them up. So there are places in town, especially on public buildings, where work is done because it's just part of the city's work and it hasn't passed review. The great emphasis of the HRB is that it has access to public action, public review, television. The Historic Resources Board is one of the most important functions in this whole town, and I think everything in town should come before it in some way. That's what I'm trying to say.
Why everything would be helpful to
Just
see.
consider expanding this beyond just the downtown.
Well, we could expand.
I'm not talking about now.
Yeah,
I'm talking about in the future.
Okay, well,
So
we
that
could
things
consider
don't
public
happen to
buildings.
our public buildings that are inappropriate,
Yeah,
because not everything is in the downtown.
yeah. You mean now our historical public buildings are not all down there. You're right.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we could consider something in the future. And we'll discuss that. Okay, historic. With same guidelines, okay. Anybody else have anything to say about that? Shirley, you have anything to add? No. Ernie, you have
I guess
anything?
about my piece on it.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, I guess we'll carry on with this and get this as an action item at the next Planning Commission meeting. Let's go back to the agenda. Okay. Report from the planner on current and upcoming projects. Okay, planner, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pretty much what was, just going to continuing on from last meeting and also over the last couple of weeks. Several things, are moving forward, including the Fault Line Restaurant. We actually have an application in. We have been discussing it and reviewing it. However, there are several things in their plans that they need to incorporate first for building and engineering reviews. We're trying to get that all done ahead of time before this comes to HRB Planning Commission as a packaged item, I should say. That will include a major historic alteration because of the new construction, lot merge, in California Environmental Quality Review, and a city-initiated zone change. That will cover four items in this case. We are moving forward with it. They have actually been very responsive, and we're just keeping them going, and you're really holding their feet to the fire to turn in what we need. During the first round of building reviews, building permit reviews for the plans, there's a lot of things missing, and that's what we're trying to include. But that was all prior to me arriving here, and also like maybe in the first month or two. But now they turned in their application, they paid the fees, and they're moving forward with it.
Okay.
I've already met with their engineer who's spearheading the lot merge application, and he just needs some items on his end from the client to go ahead and move that forward. So before the meeting tonight, I just sent them the last round or the latest round of planning comments based on dissecting the case. And I went through it with our city engineer just today as well. So that's where we are right now. I am hoping that in soon that this case will be before you for review. And I will say that myself and Carvok from our Historic Society, we did a field trip together. We gathered information from the University of California at Berkeley, Thomas Church Archives, and we gathered up documents that indicated that Thomas Church and his associates did work on the Fault Line Restaurant.
You're talking about the landscape architect?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Renowned landscape architect Thomas Church. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now, including that case.
Okay. That's good. I appreciate the fact that you're going to do this as a complete package. It makes it much more transparent that way to know what's going on and understandable for everybody. So anything else that
Let me,
we need to go?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Let me just reiterate what Hippolito and Vivi Cerda, when they came in for their informal project review earlier tonight, let me just kind of, speak, on that behalf in that information. We have been working with them. It has been determined after doing the due diligence on the past case work that's been going through the process over the years, that the site design, historic review, ultimately the entire case got revoked by City Council back in 2017, back in March of 2017. I sent an email out to the Commission with that attachment showing that resolution that was passed by Council. Council made that decision because of several issues in there. It's all indicated in the resolution. The applicants are aware of it. And that's what needs to happen, is basically, after talking with our city staff, including our building official and city manager, they need to start back from the beginning, site design review, historic review, because, of its status, and work our way forward. And that means, since city council made the decision, you would need to go before Planning Commission HRB for a recommendation to city council, and then it goes back to city council for ultimately approval would be the goal. So because that way it would be reinstated. Right. And then of course building permits would be required as well, based on 2016 building permit, building codes, I should say.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if they come in with if the council revoked it, there's two ways to go. They can do what's got to be done and remove the revocation. If they come with a whole brand new application, doesn't that bypass the council?
Yeah, I'd have to look into that. That's a good question.
Because the permit that you got, they took out and they could bring it back. Mm-hmm. But if you have a whole new one, like supposing you want to do something different with it, a whole new application would bypass the council. Mm-hmm. So to me, if they start from scratch, they come here.
Yes.
Okay.
You might want to check on that. I mean, I don't know.
Start with, if the buck stops here with the Planning Commission HRB, that would be probably good for them.
I just hate to see that so much was done. But I think one mistake that was made, one big mistake, that this was approved with a, what do you call it, performance bond, which meant that if it was not completed by the applicant, the insurance company picked it up. City manager allowed it to expire. And that's why we're in the mess we're in today. If that performance bond had been picked up at the beginning of the marital problems they had, fine, you go to court with your divorce attorney, the insurance company is going to take over this, and whatever sanctions are brought by the insurance company, that's beyond us. But the project would have been completed. So this time, if I'm not here, make sure that you get a performance bond and it is maintained until the final inspection is made on the project.
Thank you for that suggestion.
It's a shame. We could have had it. And I think all of our big projects, because of the history we've got with losing some of them, get performance bonds.
Okay.
I don't care what they cost. It's just the cost. To me, it's the cost of doing business. But we're not going to be like the Casa Rosa.
Yeah, I'm stuck.
We're going to performance bond on that thing. Fine, you guys take off. The insurance company's going to do it, and they're going to do it later. That's not our problem.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, we're going to ask for a performance bond on whoever steps into that next. Okay, Thank you. I like that suggestion. Okay.
And remember, there's a second building on that property. We've only got the brewery front part.
Yes.
There's a mixed land use on the back that's been approved. It was approved on that permit.
Was it? Oh. Okay. Doesn't say anything about that here. Okay, so that was approved for the back part of the property too?
Just, you got the building, you got the big parking lot.
Right.
And right behind that, if you look on the permit.
Okay.
The second building. Mixed land use.
Okay.
Would have had apartments upstairs and commercial on the bottom.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you.
So we want to make sure that building looks San Juanish also.
Yes. Is on permit. Okay. So it could have housing residential. That's what you're saying.
Mixed land use.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? 37 permits issued. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to your report?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may, per a past request, after past discussions, I was able to order, and I just received a couple of books that I think would be beneficial for the commission. They come from the Citizen Planning Series, the Planning Commissioner's Guide, right here, and then another book called Blink. Both of them were recommended to me by one of my contacts at the California American Planning Association chapter.
What's Blink about?
Blink is basically the power of thinking without thinking. And it was kind of a different read. So after looking it over on the website, Amazon.com, and a couple recommendations, I figured this might be a good one right here that would be for our line of work on this.
Who wants to read it first?
Pardon?
Who's going to read it first?
Oh.
Probably should be the chairperson.
Thank you, Ernie.
And also, these books will be, they'll be in our own personal, in the office library, where all of our books are, right next to Tim's desk.
So we can come in and check
Can
them
I
out.
see that?
Would you like to see this one?
We want to check one out early.
There you go. Okay. And then also just one more document I picked up, the Planning Commissioner's role. This came from the California League of Cities. I'm not sure if this is included in a past packet, but I brought it with me tonight.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay, that looks good. Okay.
So, that's all I have tonight.
June, that's all you have tonight?
What's that second book?
Oh, the second book is called The Planning Commissioner's Guide. It's this one right here.
Well, I asked them to update it because the stuff that I was given when I came on the Planning Commission was from 2004.
What's the date on this one?
I'm sorry?
What's the date on this one?
Let's see, let me check it. Hopefully it's newer. This is the latest one I was able to find. Copyright 2013.
A little bit newer.
Yeah.
3 years, yeah.
No, the other one was, yes, it's much newer.
Like 9 years.
Yes.
You look at state law, the first, I saw one of the planning law. It was about that thick. And now you got all kinds of it.
Yes.
Los Angeles, it's a book.
Yeah.
And they just keep changing and changing and changing as time goes on.
Okay. And let's see, anything else? First, D'Ambrosia. Oh, I was wondering about the D'Ambrosia. First phase completed. Staff has contacted the developer late in August. And he was provided information on the requirements for building permit applications. Have we seen anything come in?
Madam Chair, our city manager and myself, we both followed up with the applicants at D'Ambrosia.
Oh dear. You okay?
A little loud in the ears.
Okay.
As I was saying, sorry about that. But anyway, they responded to us, and they say they are preparing to start turning in their phase 2. Okay. And also, we did follow up with them about the building permit reviews for the phase 1, for the 8 lots, and that's what we're still waiting on at this time.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, that's good to hear that Somebody's contacted somebody here. Okay. And Steph's putting on cold storage. Okay. Any other questions about anything, anybody? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for the change in.
Yes.
And
I
the text
like
is
the-
much easier to follow.
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Very welcome, no problem.
I had one little question about the fault line. You talked about the lot line, or the
Yes.
lot merge. Is that the one that's not buildable, that they're going to merge into the one right next to it?
That's correct. ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, little skinny parcel right up against Franklin.
Right.
Right away, and yes, after looking over with both our building and engineering reviews, as with planning codes, we all need that to be taken care of.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, are there any more comments from the Historic Resources Board members? How about the city manager is not here, so we don't have to worry about that one. City planning, you have any more comments?
Nothing more, ma'am.
Anybody up here? Okay. Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, let's adjourn. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hillside ordinance, you might want to pass it along to,
Yeah, well, I told Todd, because I knew there was one.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize it was part of the service.
Is that something that could be scanned and sent?
See,